Hi, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be solving a new problem, that is minimum equals sum of two arrays after replacing zeros. So in this problem we have given a nums array, two nums array actually, and we have to replace all the zeros in both the arrays such that the sum of its elements become equal to each other, right? And after that we have to return the minimum sum equal which we can obtain, right? So it's like, so first thing what we have to do, we have to replace all the zeros, right? We have to replace all the zeros that are present. So for example, in this example we have two zeros, right? And this one, the next one, we have 1 0, right? So we have to replace all the zeros with the minimum values so that the sum of both of them should be equal, like this num1 should be equal to num2, right? And we have to take the minimum sum. It means that what the values that we will be entering in here should be also minimum, right? So in this example what we can do, we can take 3 2, and we have to replace these two zeros, right? And in the nums2 we have to replace this 1 1 0. Yep. So what we can do, we can just simply check that, okay, if what is the sum of total, the current sum is, I'll just say the current sum is, yeah, come here, yeah, the current sum is 6, and the sum of the second one, that is b sum, that is 11, right? So we have two zeros that I have put the a0 as 2 and the b0 is 1. So what we have to do, we have to replace these values. So the can be the minimum that we can do. So the minimum we can do is that 1 1 and 1, right? So we have replaced these two zeros with 1 because we can use the minimum value, right? So what would be the minimum value after 0? That can be 1, right? So we can say that the minimum value that we can get is this one, 3 2 1 1 1, right? So the answer would be 6 plus 2, that would be 8 for nums1. And for nums2, what can be the minimum value? That can be 6 plus 5 and plus 1 again, and 6 plus 5 plus 1, that can give us 11 plus, what is the one? This one, that can give us 0, right? This is 8, this is 12. So if you can see that we can choose the value 4, because 8, what is the difference between them? 8 and 12, that is 4. So we can simply use, add this 4. So 4 can be, we can add 2 2, right? That addition would give us 4, right? These two values we have changed it to 2 and again 2, right? So this can be 2 and 2. So the sum would give us, instead of 8, that would be 12, right? So that is the reason that we are getting this answer as 12. So the output would be 12, right? So the other case is that if we can't do that, if we can't like make these sum equal, then we have to return -1. So the other case would be, for example, let's take this one. So we had two zeros, right? And we have no zeros. So that is, we can say 0, right? So the total sum would be for this nums1 or the minimum sum for nums2. So you already know that, right? We can add, the least can be 1, right? We can add. So the minimum can be 2 plus 2 plus 2, right? So that can be 6, right? And this is only 5. So you can notice that, okay, so we cannot add anything in here, right? We cannot change this array because we don't have any zeros in here. So we have to think that, okay, the value to be equal to this 5 should also be 5, but it is 6, right? So the minimum value that we can give is 6, because if we don't take this one, that way we can make 5, but we had still this 0, right? So we cannot skip any 0. We have to make all the zeros equal to any value, right? We have to remove all the zeros and replace it with another value. So that's why we have the minimum value as 6. We cannot make anything less than 6, right? So that is not possible, right? So that is not possible. So in this case, we will simply return -1. So this is the negative testing, right? So this is the negative case that we will consider, right? I hope you have understood this question. So let's dive into the intuition part of it. So now in our two like with these both two arrays, we have got to know the one thing, that the what can be the minimum sum and what can be the maximum sum, right? So the minimum sum can be, we have to like replace all the zeros. So the minimum sum can be, I can replace it with, like, we have suppose two zeros, right? So I will say that okay, the current sum a sum plus or a0, right? This is what we do to get the minimum sum that is required. So that can be 6 plus 2, it can be 8, right? And the second one, the same thing, b sum plus b0, this will give us 12, right? So if you see that, okay, what we have to return, we have to return the minimum sum that we have to get, so that we can add as many values as we want in these both values, like in both zeros, right? And the what is the goal? So our goal is to make this num1 equal to nums2, right? This is our goal. So now we get that, okay, nums2 is 12, we can, the minimum we can get is 12. So can we make this nums1 equal to 12? Is this possible? Yes, it is always possible, because we can always add the difference into it. Like this can be 4, then we can make this equal to 12, right? So in that case, what do we have to return? We have to return the minimum sum. We have to return the minimum sum. So our minimum sum is only 12, right? We don't have to return anything else. We just have to return the minimum sum that we can achieve. And there's one more like fact, that we can make any number possible. If we have like 10 or 20 or any number of zeros, it doesn't matter, right? If we have at least 10, we can make it equal to the other one. That is, suppose what is the minimum one? So the minimum zero, like minimum sum, I can say this minimum sum of a and this minimum sum of b. What we have to get? We have to get the maximum of these both, right? We don't have to give the difference, but we have to get the minimum sum that we can get, right? So the minimum sum that we can achieve is 12, right? So what we can do, we just simply take the max of these two values, a sum, I'll just simply write a, and then b, whatever the value that we will be getting, that can be our answer. Simple, right? Nothing fancy with that, right? So if I again summarize this, so to summarize this, we have just three steps. We have three steps. So the first step is find the min sum, right? Second, we can just take the max of both these two values, min sum and max sum. Sorry, these min sums, take the max of it, max value between them, right? So I think this is just two steps that can be done with that. But there is one condition that we have to check. So what is that condition? So that condition can be found in here, the exception, that is -1. So to that, we can just simply go here. If you remember what we did, we checked that, okay, do we have any zeros in here? Yes, we have zeros. We said, okay, we had two zeros. Do we have any zeros here? We said, no, we don't have any zeros, right? So it means that we cannot do any changement in this nums2, right? We cannot do any changement in nums2. So what is the sum? So the a sum, or not a sum, but b sum. This would be 5. A sum would be currently 4, but we can find the minimum sum required. A, how can we find the minimum sum that can be achieved. So we have to replace the zeros. So we can replace the zeros. So we will do that. We'll replace it with 1, right? So what can be the sum of it? 2 1 2 1. So that would give us 6. So we get that 6. Now the condition that we have to check that, okay, this sum 5, which cannot be changed, right? If this is anyway less than the other value would be this min sum a. In that case, we will simply return -1. Okay. So you can also write it as like min sum b. So what we usually do is we simply just add the values, that this 2 plus this 4, that will give us 6. So this 0 plus 5 would also give us 5, right? So this is the base condition that we have to check for the -1 conditions. I hope you have understood this question. So we'll just simply dive into the coding part of it. So for that, we will just simply start with our variables that we defined. So what were the variables that we have defined? So we had this a sum and b sum, a0 and b0. So we will simply define that. A sum, b sum, the a zeros that we have, and the b number of zeros that we have in the second array. Right? I'll just simply take the sum for nums1, again the sum for nums2. These both values I will simply first take as 0, and I will first now traverse through the array, and we will check that, okay, what are the number of zeros that we have for this array, and after that for the second array, right? So I'll simply write a loop. So if our I value is equals to 0, increase the count of a0. This is the code to find the first one, the a0. The same thing we will do for the second one. The only difference would be b0, right? So now we have got the values that are how many zeros that we have for each array, for nums1 and also for nums2. Now we will move forward. We will check for the negative case. So for the negative case, if you remember, what were the condition that we have to check? For negative, we have to check how many zeros that we have, like the min a and the min b. We have to check that. So for that, first we will check that if we have any zeros. So if you check that if not a0, so it means that we have a value that is this array a0 contains no element that is 0. It means that we cannot move this first array. So it means that this a sum, that would be fixed, we cannot move that, and this should be, if it is less than this value, that is the minimum values or the minimum sum that we required, that would be sum and the b zeros. If that's the case, it means that we cannot do anything, right? This is a non-valid case. In the same case, if you can see that, okay, in this case we have this value 5 that is less than the, because this is fixed, and the other value that is greater than that, because we can change that but we cannot change this one. If it is less, so we cannot do anything. The same thing we'll do for b0. We'll check again, just simply change the values, right? The same thing we will do. We'll check that, okay, if we have any, if we don't have this b0, this is, it means that this is fixed. We don't have any 0 in here, right, in the bth array. Then we'll check that, okay, this fixed sum, if it is less than the values that is required, the minimum sum that is required, then we will simply return -1, right? So this is done with the negative cases, and in the final one, for the results, we will just simply return the max of what we are getting. So I'll just simply say a sum, right? This is what? This is just simply min sum a and min sum b, right? The addition of this and this, right? This is a0 and this is a sum, right? This a sum and a0, right? This is the addition that we will simply do. So instead of using any variable, I just simply add it. I hope you understand that. Simply change the values. And this is it for this question. Let's just run the cases and bravo. It ran. Let's just submit it. Yep, this is all done. And now talking about the time complexity of it. So that time would be, we are just traversing the arrays once. We are just calculating the values of how many zeros that we have. So that would be around big of n, right? And space is, we are not taking any space. We're just using simple variables, that is equals to big of 1. So this is it for this question. So I hope you understand this question. So if you have any doubts or any questions, just post that in the comment section. And thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care.